my name is Rachel Porter, and I will be going over SDG 12 in Iceland with responsible consumption and production. So the data story for SDG 12 talks about waste produced per day, generally in countries. And Iceland has the highest trash generated per capita at 44 kilograms and nearly 10 pounds per day, which I found to be absolutely astonishing. I couldn't believe it when I went to go filter and realized that Iceland had already taken the top spot. However, despite all of the trash that is produced, they recycle nearly 55% of all of their waste, and this is much more than other countries. It was by far the highest amount that I saw. 30% of their trash ends up in landfills, whereas other sorts of countries might have 40% ending up, 20% ending up, but no one recycles nearly as much as Iceland does, I discovered. And the majority of this waste comes from paper and cardboard and wood, primarily for construction type of projects. And so how is Iceland combating this? With recycling, incineration, or using a landfill. Sources that I found said that recycling is consistently the better option, and incineration tends to be better than landfills in most scenarios. However, this can vary depending on the type of trash that we are talking about and the types of plastics when you dive into that sector. If you do not recycle as optimally as you could, incineration might go down the list in terms of sorts of chemicals that are being released when they are incinerated versus being put in a landfill. So there's some discussion there, but overall, if you can recycle, do your best to make sure that happens. And in the capital of Iceland, in Reykjavik, 80% of household trash is exported to be incinerated in Sweden. And I thought that was absolutely insane, with the amount of people that are concentrated in the city to have a in-depth trash collection process such as theirs, and to export it was incredible. And the city actively provides transport for the waste collection to make it as accessible as possible. And they have an organized system with multiple bins, and their infrastructure encourages sustainable garbage disposal. It reminds me a lot of how I've seen trash disposal systems in Italy and in Japan. I think that what they're doing is great, and they provide lots of resources for it. And one quote that I found that was stuck out to me a lot was that it's cheaper to throw away less and sort more. They have, I believe, 5 or 6 different types of bins that they collect and use for garbage disposal within specifically the capital, but I assume it is going to be more widespread because what I found was a bit dated, but they take lots of care to make sure that they can effectively dispose of waste. And despite all of these numbers, with Iceland producing so much trash and them recycling a lot, which is great, they are one of the lowest sources for emission of plastic waste. Iceland has consistently emitted little to no plastic waste into the ocean, despite being the leading country in terms of trash pollution, which I thought was incredible. So how do we go about combating these sorts of issues? Well, they've seemed to have a pretty good handle on it, considering that they have these different types of, they prioritize incineration, they effectively dispose of garbage. My main concern was that, is exporting the garbage to be incinerated, is that doing more harm than good? Is that something that is sustainably efficient? Is that something that they can continue doing? How long have they been doing this? All sorts of questions relating to that. Another topic I wanted to consider with their solutions is IoT. There are plenty of solutions coming out now with RFID packaging and trackers that can be put on items specifically for inventory purposes and within the supply chain, But if this could be adapted to help landfills and to help places where garbage is being incinerated or recycling plants, I think that that could be another way to utilize this sort of technology. The only thing that would really make me worried about something like this is the amount of security that would have to be in place for heavy IoT usage, my bad, and the amount of e-waste and energy consumption that comes along with a heavy investment into IoT, that using this amount of trackers and sensors and packaging would suggest. But regardless of that, they've got everything pretty much under control for the most part, and it's good to see that a country like Iceland can do this. And here are my sources up here, and I hope you enjoyed.